Yoweli Chungu. Who's Yoweli Chungu? Oh, a lot of people don't even know who they are. They might even be 50 years and they have no idea who they are. But I'm one of those people who's privileged to have an understanding of who I am and whose I am. So I introduce myself as a natural born storyteller. If it was in the village, I would be the guy who you all gather around the fire to hear him speak the stories. So I'm a storyteller by discipline, or rather by concept. I'm a filmmaker. By discipline, I am a scriptwriter, a producer, as well as a production designer. My job is about storytelling, and my calling is about communication and adding purpose and meaning to everyday lives. I had an amazing childhood. Obviously, my parents were teenagers. I was born from two teenagers who, did what they did, and voila, 9 months later, I was born. But I do have a lot of wonderful childhood memories, and one of the passions that I have is to ensure that children today have an amazing life. I have a son. I have a lot of people who actually regard me as a father figure, and what I do for a living, being a filmmaker, creating the worlds of Ubuntu and all those things we do, is like child's play. I take a lot of inspiration from my childhood. The simplicity of being a child, growing up in the 90s, becoming Yoweli Chungu, obviously, becoming a young man in the early 2000s, and then it's not late because we're still in the 2000s, mid 2000s, becoming a teenager, making a lot of mistakes, making dumb choices, but also being very focused. I think I'm one of the young people who was focused. And sadly, I never really learned how to play. I'm good at working, but very bad at play. When my friends were going to clubs, I was at home writing scripts or learning how to write scripts. And so I spent a lot of time. I had a passion for storytelling, and specifically I wanted to do film and TV. And so most of my growing up, I've spent the last 20 years trying to learn how to tell stories for TV and film. But like I said, my childhood was the most amazing. It was simple days, happy times. YCF. It's weird. I had a joke about creating a safe space for young people, because when I was 18 years old, I wanted to belong to a group of people who had the same interests like myself, gifted people who wanted to tell stories. And it was difficult because we didn't have a space like that, a space where you'd go and meet people who are like you. And so in 2016, 2017, I wanted to register a company. I didn't have really a clear vision of what it would be, but I didn't want it to be a production company. I wanted it to be bigger than a production company. So I set up a film hub and an art residence. And it's called Yoweli Chungu Filimu. It's ridiculous because those are my names. You just add the Filimu on the side. The Filimu came because I was trying to sound very Zambian. Every time I went outside the country, I saw the Zimbabweans. When you are in, let's say if you're in New York and there are Zimbabweans in the space, you will know they're Zimbabweans by their accents. Nigerians, you know them by their wealthy accents and their energy. But Zambians would get lost in transition, because we don't have a very specific accent, unless you're Tonga, and deep Tonga, obviously. Then you hear my name is Jolwe. And so basically, I decided to introduce myself even to white people as, hi, my name is Yoweli Chungu. I'm a film maker from Zambia. I was trying to really to create this Zambianness, hoping it would be a signature. And so people started calling me Filimu. And later when I needed to register the hub. So basically the hub, YCF, is a safe space for different forms of art. They marry into film because I'm a filmmaker. So we've got fashion, food. Food is culinary art. we've got crafts, we've got visual art, performance art, music, poetry, spoken word. All of those are in the same space. They get married into film. And that's why my show Ubuntu has a specific artistic language. Being a human is very difficult. That's the first challenge. Nobody says being human, being an adult human is very easy. And the biggest challenge I tell people was me. I stood in my own way. I stood in my own way because I had a rotten attitude. I was conditioned to be very entitled. I was always expecting Boma Itianga Nirep. I had to blame somebody, and it had to be the government, it had to be my parents, it had to be where I grew up, it had to be everyone but myself. And so I think the biggest challenge I had, I know people say, no, it's the finances, we don't have finances to do film or to do whatever business you want to do. But I think the first challenge I faced was my mindset and myself. And it took me a very long time to figure out that I had to change the narrative and also change the self-prophecy. When I say self-prophecy, example, we always say Zambians don't read books. Zambians don't read books. It's not true. You should say most Zambians don't read. The rest of us read. There are quite a big number of Zambians that read and write. And so I had to work on getting over myself and also learning to manage my own flaws. I had to also come out of conditioning. Our education really taught us that for us to learn, we had to be beaten, punished, shouted at, you know. And I'm now a leader. I have over 120 people who work under me. And that's what they expect me to do. Shout, punish, and beat people if I can. I don't beat people, I fire people. But yeah, so basically those were the challenges. Anything else, yes, the financial issues came in. But once you understand what you want to do, you have a plan that's written down, it's quite easy to eventually figure out what your next right step is. The question of where the vision of YCF is going. So a couple of years ago, I kept on saying, we want to be the mother hub of hubs. We want to replicate ourselves and have all these hubs where, whether it's music or fashion or whatever, in the different townships across Zambia, across Africa, across going towards a global platform. But I think my vision is really to document now, a couple of years later, when I'm in reality and I've gone through quite a lot of things, overcome a lot. My vision is really to preserve the history, the culture and the history of our country. Because if we keep on accepting foreign images that we see on TV, listen to in music, in magazine fashions or podcasts or whatever, and they don't reflect our specific Zambianness, our specific Africanness, then we are simply saying that Zambians don't matter. And in the next 20, 30 years, we'll just be black people with accents, because so many even kids don't even know how to speak their local language. And so my vision is to document all these little nuances in our culture. What other people may think is Bufontini, for me is our Zambianness. And I would love to document that, and hopefully in the next 50 to 100 years, someone can be able to see who we were and who we are. Ubuntu drama series is an homage to my late mother. So basically, in 2012, I started having this vision of telling a story about a young Zambian hero. Because I heard of Batman and Spider-Man and all these books that I read as a child. I started reading at a very early age. 13, I was reading novels. And that has inspired me to be a writer, actually. The more I read, the more I wanted to write as well. And so I wanted to tell a story about a Zambian hero. We need a superhero. I think the kids need a superhero, a local superhero. So I had an idea to write a story about a young man called Ubuntu. That's what I called him. But then it mutated. My mom passed away, and I was very devastated for a very long time. And one of my friends just spoke to me and comforting me, says, you know, God has given you a gift to preserve your mother's history and story and personality. I said, what? How are you talking about? My mom's gone. He says, yeah, but you still have the memories. And he reminded me to say, look, you saw your mother at 18, when she was 18 years, and when she was 20 years, and when she was 25, you know, because you were born from a teenage mother. I said, yeah. I says, preserve that. Put that in story. And so what originally had started as a superhero story, local superhero, ended up becoming a story about a woman. My mother was a very beautiful, powerful woman, and I love to talk about her. I talk about her all the time. She's been gone for 14 years. This is how I preserve her thing. So I thought that it changed into, instead of the story being about Ubuntu, it became about Ubuntu's mother, who in the story of Ubuntu now, the drama series, is Tandiwena. And Ubuntu ended up becoming Kasongo, a character called Kasongo, and Ubuntu became the village of Ubuntu. And so basically, Ubuntu is a story about Zambian people coming from different backgrounds, not worrying about Tonga, Mlozi, what. They came together and merged their culture. And it's about the struggle for finding your place in the world. All of us have a purpose and a meaning. We were all born for a reason. I'm here, I'm in Zambia, born in Zambia, went through what I've gone through for a purpose and a meaning. And so basically, Ubuntu deals with the themes of identity versus power. Because a lot of Zambians don't have power over love, don't have power over their own lives, don't have power over money, don't have power over this country, because they do not own this country. I see people, they just eat a banana, they throw it anywhere, they throw the pills. That's not ownership. We don't own this country. It takes Wakapokola time ya cholera to come and beat us, to make us clean up. And so I wanted to talk about power, because there's a relation between power and identity. When you know who you are, whose you are, where you come from, what you've overcome, where you're going, it gives you a power that it helps you create money, purpose, and meaning for yourself. "2021 was a very difficult year, and I don't think it's just me alone who went through it. 2021, 2020, 2019 to 2021 was the most difficult year. There was this whole COVID thing that was happening. We all didn't know how it would affect us. In the beginning, we all thought it was just a joke. Oh, it's what we see on BBC. And then it came home. I lost some of my friends. They died from COVID. In that process of that uncertainty, we had a fire. Our studio, we're shooting Ubuntu in this house in Avondale, and it caught fire. Someone was trapped in the fire, a young lady who worked with us. And we didn't hesitate to think about saving her life. So we allowed the house to burn down while we tried to save her, because she was trapped in the bathroom. And we almost lost her life. And yeah, the damages were close to 2.5 million kwacha of equipment. There were we lost our filming equipment, and we lost, pieces of us died in that fire, the hopes and dreams. We're in the middle of a series, and there was a lot of trauma that happened. We thank God the young lady was saved. She did suffer severe burns. And then there was we had to go to counseling. We had to decide. We had to decide to survive. So what looked like a setback for me was actually a setup to prove to people that I wasn't just a fake one off. I was the real deal. I couldn't cry. I told my business partner, John Chinyanda, like, we're not gonna cry. We're gonna show up. We're the leaders. We're gonna show up and we're gonna put in the hard work and we're gonna strategize. We're gonna figure it out. There are too many letters of the alphabet for you to be stuck on plan A and B. So we went for plan XYZ. And we managed to finish 60 episodes, fulfilled our contract. It wasn't easy to do it. In the end, I think I collapsed personally. I was gone. I blacked out. And now I'm looking after myself because mental health is a very serious disease that most people don't know about. We think it's just a white man's thing. Depression is real. Frustration, I think I suffered severe burnout. So everything I lost in the fire. But I also believe that there's something good that comes out of the ashes. So we managed to finish the show and then begin every day, one piece at a time, begin to figure out how to pay off debt or to pay off something that was burnt in the fire or to fix the house or some illegal issues that came up. And we live one day at a time. It has taught us to really appreciate life because tomorrow is not guaranteed. So that's how we overcame, one day at a time. Wow, notable achievements. You know, I don't know whether it's a bad conditioning where I'm conditioned never to celebrate myself because it's kind of arrogance. I've struggled with a lot of compliments that we've received. I have been working, trying to become a master storyteller, working locally towards a Pan-African vision and towards a global industry where a Zambian story can be watched in Hollywood. And so I think the biggest thing that I don't know, my legacy, because I am so going to correct the narrative of Yoweli Chungu. I'm writing my own history. Every day, people are going to know how I lived life. They're not going to wait to ask the people who are around me because they will be limited. So for me, I think my legacy will be being one of the local producers who's placed over 1,500 people in paying jobs for television, local TV, from commercials, working with Trade King, some of the big commercials we did, to Ubuntu, which every season has had, for the last 4 years, has had over 120 people on TV, on paid roles. Internships that have created new skills, because that's what we do. So I think part of my legacy is going to be that. I'm not worried about, oh, he made amazing stories or he did great music videos or whatever. Those are the byproducts of thing. For me, I think it will be the people. It will be I've sat down with over 1,500 people in the last 7 years to talk about their vision, to talk about their hopes, to talk about their fears. I should be like a therapist, man. I should be paid to do this. But I have done it, and also not just done it, but also created employment for these young people. So that's part of my legacy. Anything else? When I'm gone and dead, ask anybody what we did. We did amazing stuff. That's what we did. It took me a long time to figure out how to handle time. To be honest, I suck at certain things when I begin to excel at certain things. So sometimes I am good at my work because then I will put in 27 hours. That's what having a dream job demands. It demands I wake up at 5 and I go to bed the following day at 5. It's part of when you have a dream job, a job that you love. And sometimes then my family suffers. I'm a single father and I've had to understand that everything happens in time. So now I also needed to learn to ask for help. I'm privileged to be able to have people who help me run my household. I have people who cook food for me, who look after my son, who do certain things. So I'm able to be Yoweli Chungu and stay in the space of creativity. So it hasn't been easy wearing different hats, but I also try to be a friend, to be a brother, to be a niece. I mean, sorry, a niece, right? A nephew, to be a boss at work, to be a father of someone, to be a mentor. I don't usually succeed at everything. Something starts falling apart. But I have learned to ask for help. And money does help. Because now you have assistants who kind of do things for you, and then you kind of approve. Yeah. My word of advice to the upcoming entrepreneurs or aspiring artists or filmmakers or whatever field you want to do here, specifically in Zambia, I will tell you reality, it is very difficult. So I don't want to paint balloons for you or paint a fake picture for you. It's very difficult, but it is also doable. You first of all have to invest in understanding who you are, create a unique voice, create a unique brand for yourself, understand whose you are, where you want to go. It's a process, by the way. It's not going to be done in 2 days seminar or whatever. It's a process. It's taken me almost over 20 years to figure out who I am, what's my voice, what stories do I care about, what's the product. I've also had to take time to understand who my audience is or who my market is. My story is not for everyone. Not everybody cares about traditional stories or historical things or, cultural things, because some people just don't care. It's not their thing. So I have also understood, I also invested in understanding how my audience responds to the things I do. So I create products for a specific market. I try and understand what their needs are. I don't have to tell a Zula story or Impali story because Frank and Fred do it better. So I tell an Ubuntu story, a story about a tradition. I mix Tushimi, I mix all those little things that I grew up listening, the myths, the scary stories about African spiritual things. I don't have to do everything, but like I said, I understand who I am. I'm a custodian of the culture and the tradition. I'm a modern custodian of culture and history. And I'm a very relevant person, not a celebrity. I don't care about that nonsense, as I call it. It's nonsense because it's smokes and mirrors. Even if you don't know my name, if you know what I do, from the commercials, the Trade Kings commercials I've done, to now doing my own show, Ubuntu. I've done a number of documentaries documenting the small people in Zambia, the marginalized people that you don't know about in the swamps of Luapula, escarpments in Chiengi. So just know who you are. That's the number one. That's the power you have. Then you'll be able to really know what you care about and what type of story you want to tell. I'm the most boring person that you'd ask a random fun fact. Let's see. What don't I think people know about me? I have a problem though, because I kind of live this very open life. So I've always thought people know about me. What? Oh, I'm a singer. Everyone who knew me growing up expected me to be a singer. They expected me to sing because I used to sing a lot, and everyone who hears me sing think, oh, you should release an album. I keep on saying I need to find the right message and the right genre of music because I've been focused on film. So that's one fun fact. I can sing out. And I used to also dance. Now I'm extra juicy, well-fed young man. So I gotta shake my juice up if I'm gonna dance. But I used to also participate in, I was part of a culture group. I used to sing traditional music and dance. I cannot twerk for you. Don't ask me to twerk. I'm pretty enough. I'm a pretty guy, so that's just gonna look so wrong. Let's leave that out. Yeah. Oh yeah, we get paid in dollars. Like Danny Kaya would say, not really. Don't come and crucify me because you want dollars from me. I do not have those dollars. Yes, so we've made a lot of strides in the film industry locally. And when I say film, and I'm saying industry, I'm very inverted commas. We do not have an industry, but what we do have is an aspirational community of filmmakers who are every day learning new skills on how to tell stories for film and TV. So we do not have a TV industry, we do not have a film industry, but we have people. So you've got Frank Sibuku with Impali, Oas Mwape with his Oram Vision, Stephanie Dell, one of the female producers, Powerhouse, with Amoye and her team. There's Yoweli Chungu with Ubuntu. There's all these other different stories and different communities. And if we put together, we will one day create an industry. Is it profitable? It is. It is, and it could do better. That's the truth. It could do better. But like I said, we do not have policies. We do not have systems. We do not have structures that have kind of created it in there. So sometimes people think we make a lot of money, and maybe we do, and maybe we don't. I'm just gonna leave it hanging there. But we have been able to create, like personally, for the last 4 years, I've had over almost 1,000 people working on the show, and they get paid every month. I work for 7 months in a year. The project of Ubuntu, other people like Impali and Zuba do it for the whole year. So yes, it's profitable because some families are being looked after. Yeah. Outside the box, but I challenge it as well. I challenge it because I always think it's an easy way for people to get away with thinking outside the box. Yeah, but I think it's also very interesting if and we're good, we're rolling. This will look horrible on TV. Sorry, I have to laugh because they're rolling without telling me I'm rolling. Because we always have to act for camera, and that's horrible when you have to act out. So Thinking Outside the Box magazine, I love the concept of Thinking Outside the Box magazine. It's a challenge, it's intriguing for me because a lot of people do not think outside the box. Actually, they've become the box themselves. So I don't know if the box really exists or it's a mental state, but it's also a very good conversation piece. It gets you to look at different people, personalities, and what they're about. So Thinking Outside the Box is a fresh idea. It's a 21st century thing. And I think we all need to explore it, and we need to build on. When you hear there's a platform called Thinking Outside the Box, and it's a magazine, you want to allow it to challenge you and also see the personalities that it supports. Coming back to the hub, YCF. So what we did in the last couple of years, it was very open to a lot of people. We're currently having interns. We've opened up for interns. Last year we had 50 interns from different parts of Zambia. We even had interns from India, South Africa, Kenya, who also came in, and Zimbabwe, who came in to intern and just build skills and collaborate and network. This season, because it's been kind of crazy, financially things have been crazy, the economy has been crazy, we couldn't open it up because we can't accommodate a lot of people. So what we've decided to do is to close the internship program, but this is just up to maybe 2024. I know it sounds like, ooh, cool, but 2024 is just one day you wake up and it will be 2024. So basically it's giving us a chance to regroup, replan, and think outside the box. There's the word. We just want to take time to just go back and look at what we did right, what we could do better, what didn't work out. But it's YCF is very open. I wanted to say website because we do have a website which hasn't been very active. But we have a Facebook page, Yoweli Chungu Filimu. Yoweli Chungu Filimu, which is open to quite a lot of people who've written in to do internship or want to be connected to some place. We're currently closed because we're in production of the new season of Ubuntu. Ubuntu airs on Zambezi Magic sometime this year, I think somewhere in September. But you can watch reruns on an app called Showmax. Just download Showmax. It's quite affordable. It's got a beautiful content from South Africa, from Zambia. You can watch your Mpali, your Zuba from season 1 and get to see. So we've got Showmax, which is an app which works like the way your Netflix works. It's a very affordable platform. And currently GoTV is also showing Ubuntu season 1 and 2, I think. So people can watch it, but we'll be back on Zambezi Magic sometime this year, 2022, September, I think. And then you can also just go on Zambezi Magic page, Facebook page. There's also YouTube where you can watch some episodes of Ubuntu. Just search Zambezi Magic Ubuntu. I think you can find some episodes, so just for you to catch up and see. Otherwise, my encouragement to someone listening or watching this is it's very important to know who you are, whose you are. If you know who you are, it starts by you understanding, interrogating, stopping here in the present, interrogating the past. Go back to your two bloodlines, your father and your mother. Find out in the family what are the common patterns. Find out how do the men die in the family. What have they achieved? Find out what is common from your father's side, from your mother's side. Study your grandparents, study their children, study your parents, study yourself. And then it will give you an idea of who you are and what you were meant to do. It's very important to have that understanding of what your calling is on earth. It's not your career sometimes. You're lucky if you get, like me, who has a career in TV and film, and my calling is to be a teacher and a storyteller. So I kind of mix it up with what I do. But at the end of it, it's very important to know who you are. And when you do that, it will help you begin to create a path for yourself, which will lead into a road of what you want to become. So a lot of people don't know why they were born and why they have overcome the things they've overcome. When you do that, it's very easy to know what your business on earth is.